Write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trod me in the very dirt, but still like dust, I'll arise.
Have you ever heard that poem? That was Maya Angelou reading her own poem. And honestly, even just that short clip, it sounds so confident and motivating, right? So today, let's get to know this poem even deeper through 4 different approaches. In this video, we will talk about the authorship approach, contextual approach, textual analysis, and reader response. So, let's get started. First, let's talk about the authorship approach. So, what is it exactly? Well, the authorship approach is basically a way of understanding a poem by looking at the person who wrote it, their background, their life experience, and how all of that show up in their work. And when it comes to Maya Angelou, there is actually a lot to know. Maya Angelou was born in 1928 in St. Louis, Missouri. She was a poet, a writer, an actress, an educator, and a civil rights activist. She worked alongside important figures like Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X during the civil rights movement in America. That involvement made her deeply aware of the racism and inequality that African Americans were living through every single day. As a black woman in America, Angelou personally experienced discrimination and unfair treatment, but instead of letting those experiences break her, she turned them into her writing. Her works often talk about racial oppression, hardship, survival, and the strength of the human spirit. She also became a voice for people who were often ignored, and her poetry gave words to feelings that a lot of people had but could not express on their own. Now, let's take a closer look at how Angelou's real life shows up in the lines of this poem. This line reflects Angelou's real life growing up during the Jim Crow era, where black Americans were treated as if they mean nothing. But just like dust, they always floats back up no matter how many times you step on it. Angelou refused to stay down. This line reflects Angelou's real experience. At age 7, she went through a trauma so painful that she stopped speaking for almost 5 years. She knew exactly what it felt like to be hurt by words and hatred, and she wrote it straight into the poem. And on this line, this is personal for Angelou. She grew up knowing the history of her people, fighting alongside leaders like Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X. So, when she wrote this line, she was basically saying that everything the people before her went through was not for nothing. She is the proof of that their hope was real. Now that we understand who wrote this poem, the next question is, when was it written and what was happening in the world at that time? Because a poem doesn't come from nothing, it comes from a specific moment in history. So, let's move on to the contextual approach. So, what is the contextual approach? Contextual approach, it is a way of understanding a poem by looking at what was happening in real life when it was written, and why the word at that time made those words necessary. So, let's go back to what was actually happening in America at that time. Back in 1964, the Civil Rights Act made a racial discrimination officially illegal. This was a big step because for the first time the law was on their side. And in the 1965, the Voting Rights Act gave a Black Americans stronger protection. This meant they had more power to participate in the country decision. In the 1978, Black America were still facing racism every single day. Finding a good job was harder, school in a black neighborhood had less money, and housing was harder to access. So, even though the law had changed, real life had not really changed that much. So, now, let's connect all of that to the poem. When the speaker says, "I rise again and again," it is not just a poetic choice. It reflects something real about Black American life in 1978. Getting up was not something that happened once. It had to happen over and over again because the struggle never really stopped. The next is when she speaks to the unnamed you in the poem, that you is the racist society of 1978, a society that officially said everyone was equal but kept treating black people as if they were not. And near the end of the poem, when she connects herself to the people who came before her, those who survived slavery and held onto hope, she is basically saying that this community has been rising long before, and it is not going to stop now. So, reading this poem through a contextual approach shows us that the strength and defiance in this poem did not come from nowhere. They came from a very specific time, a very specific struggle, and a community that chose to rise anyway. The poem's strength comes from a real historical struggle, not just poetry. We now understand the person behind the poem and the historical moment it came from. But what about the poem itself? What is happening inside the text? Okay, so in this part, we are going to talk about symbolism through the textual analysis approach. So, what is the textual analysis approach? Textual analysis approach, it is a way of understanding a poem by looking closely at the words and literary device the poet used, and how those things work together to build the meaning of the poem. Now, let's look at how Angelou uses symbolism in this poem. There are 4 types of symbolism that she uses, and each one has its own meaning. The first type is nature symbols. Angelou compares herself to things like dust, the moon, the sun, tides, air, and even a black ocean. Why? Because natural things cannot be stopped. For the example, dust always floats back up no matter how many times you push it down. The sun and moon doesn't ask for permission to rise. The tide just keeping moving. The air is everywhere and nothing can destroy it. And the last one is, Black Ocean is huge and powerful, something no one can control. The next type is wealth symbols. This includes oil wells, gold mines, and diamonds. But these are not really about money. They are about how Angelou sees her own value. When she says she walks like she has oil wells pumping in her living room, she means that she carries a deep sense of her own value that nobody can see from the outside, but it is absolutely there. Gold mines means take hard work to reach. And the last one is, diamonds are made from extreme pressure. Now, let's moving on to the third type, which is historical and ancestral symbols. This line refers to slavery and the terrible condition in South people were forced to live in. But instead of ignoring that history, Angelou rises straight out of it. The pain Angelou is talking about goes very deep, just like the roots of a tree. And just like roots, that pain is actually what holds her rising strong. Here, Angelou is no longer just speaking for herself. She is speaking for every single person who came before her and never got to see a better future. The last type is the like symbol. This means after all the pain and struggle, she finally rises into something bright and open. It is her freedom. Now that we have looked at the symbolism, let's talk about the tone of this poem. Before started, let me explain. The tone is the attitude or feeling that the writer puts into their writing. And in Still I Rise, the tone is confident and defined. Let's take a look in this first line. She does not sound unsure. She sounds like she already knows it will happen. And in this line, even when she talks about painful things like being shot with words or killed with a hatefulness, the tone never breaks. She still sounds strong and certain. That is the tone of this poem, confident and defined from start to finish. Now, we have looked at everything inside the poem. But there is one more thing. How does this poem connect to me personally? Before that, what is the reader response approach? So, reader response approach is all about how we as readers personally connect to and feel about the poem. When the first time I read this poem, I feel like it was speaking directly to me, especially the line "but still, like dice, I'll rise." Because I once had an experience just like that. When I was in junior high school, my teacher chose me to join a civic education quiz competition, but my classmates did not believe in me. They said civic education was not a field for girls. That was really hard. I study hard with my team every single day, and on competition, we finish in the third place. Not first, but we proved them wrong. So, this poem reminds me that no matter how many times people try to put you down, you can always choose to rise. And that is a feeling I know personally. Finally, we have already discussed 4 different approaches in Still I Rise by Maya Angelou. I hope this video helped you see this poem in a new way. Thanks for watching.